Okay, everybody, welcome back. If you pull up the course Moodle page, this would probably be most helpful as you continue listening to me talk about the project and referencing information. You're going to need to be pulling up the rubric section, and the rubric that I'm also including with this email will be linked, but it's also available here in PDF form. But you're also going to want to download the P2 student examples zip file, so you'll need to unpack that, put it on your desktop, and you'll end up with a series of folders and files that are available for your review. And then also notice that the whiteboard board assignments section and the blog entry post section have been updated with additional entries. So in a nutshell here, I'll get back to the whiteboard assignments and the blog entry post information. But right away, let me dive into this Project 2 rubric that you'll be reviewing and starting to apply research to. So in a nutshell, what you're going to be doing is choosing and developing a fictional business, and you're in charge as the designer to generate the visual logo identity for that business. You'll be creating 3 logo designs for the business, one in each of the categories we've been studying up to this point: the word mark, the icon, and the combination mark. Okay. You'll be creating a single Illustrator file using multiple artboards and separating out your traditional research sketches that you'll be doing for next week, and you'll be placing those into the document and then generating those logo designs digitally. You'll then be compiling all of those 3 final digital logo variations and compiling those into what is known as a brand overview. And so next Friday, I'll be running through a brand overview and exporting demonstration. And then for this coming week, this Wednesday, in fact, I'm upping the due date to Wednesday. You can see this a little bit closer in the blog entry post section, but for next Wednesday, you'll have the research sketches due. And the reason why this is due on Wednesday instead of Friday next week is because one additional Wednesday from this posted date is the final review session for the class. And that is when your final submission for this project will be officially due. Okay? And so what you'll be doing, maybe I should just break that down for you a little bit, because that is the focus of the project. We kind of find ourselves in this phase of ideation and research. So we first need to come up with the business type. We need to think about our marketing here, so a little bit of target marketing. What is your target audience? What is the social demographic? Who is purchasing the product or service in which your business is trying to sell? You're also going to have to come up with a business name, and that will help you start formulating an identity that becomes visually relevant, right? You'll be applying some of those ideas in sketched form in research. So you'll be actually pulling out some copier paper or even some lined paper if you don't have copier paper at home. And for each of the logo categories, word mark, icon, and combo marks, you're going to be making 2 variations for each of those logo categories. So you have 6 total sketches at roughly 4 by 4 inches. Okay, so 4 by 4 inches on a single sheet of copier paper that allows you to do both variations and spaced out very nicely on an 8.5 by 11 copier sheet. So you'll need 3 sheets of copier paper for this to function well. Or if you wanted to do a single 4 by 4 variation per copier paper, that would also work out really well, and it allows you to kind of splice up those files a little bit easier before you have to bring them into your Illustrator document. Okay, so then from those traditional sketches that you'll be making by hand, you'll be using a pencil and trying to draw those the best of your ability. Okay, they're not thumbnail sketches to where they are very brief and gestural. You want them to have a little bit of detail to them, so that you can kind of translate that detail into a digital format. They don't have to be shaded, they don't have to be colorized. We're not trying to make them picture perfect. They are meant to be an aid to serve as a template when it comes time for us to start generating the digital variation. Okay, so I'll be walking through this information here next Friday when it comes time for us to start compiling our digital sketches into a brand overview and preparing for exporting. A few guidelines regarding the project here. The first bullet point gets into the work. It should be all of your own. It should not be a duplicated logo. It should not be a redesign of an existing business. You do have to come up with the business name and what it is that you're selling. And you also have to come up with the logo designs related to the identity of that business. Commit to the research. Make sure that you're putting in the necessary amount of time for the research to function well. You want to make sure that you have solid traditional sketches moving into the creation of the digital work. So that's why we spend a good week on research here. Another thing to note is really all of the visual aesthetics that we've been studying up to this point, type relationships, type styles, type categories, type contrasts, all of those chapters related to text and graphics and color, it's all going to come together in this project. Okay, so be thinking about all those things. I've listed multiples of those lists here under this bullet point. You can use as many colors as you would like. However, I would suggest using no more than 2 to 3. Some folks really like the extra challenge of just using a single color logo design. And what that does is it forces you to use negative space. If this were a black logo on a white ground, how can you creatively use positive and negative space with a single color? It gives it the ultimate flexibility in terms of its use. And some businesses actually require the use of a single color. You can make things a lot more interesting with 2 to 3 colors, upwards of 5 colors, but generally you don't want to give yourself too many colors to look at in a logo design like this. I'm also asking that you challenge yourself technically when it comes time to generating the icon illustration work. The word mark and the combo mark tend to go a little bit quicker. When it comes time to really generating the icon, make sure that you're applying your technical skills. And it's my hope that the Create and Process tutorial series really helped you in maybe thinking about a technique or two that you could apply to this. But I'm just noting that as a guideline bullet point here as well. On the second page of the rubric, this gets into the submission requirements. So just to recap, your research and thumbnail sketches will be due in blog entry form next Wednesday, the 22nd. Okay, and like I said before, this gives us an additional full week to complete the project and have that submitted for Wednesday, April 29th. This is officially the last thing that I'm going to ask from you this semester. At this point in time, I am eliminating the examinations in the course. I find this to be most suitable for everyone because we've been moving to this this credit, non-credit grading assessment process. I'll further explain how that's kind of assessed below here. But just note that I am not going to be asking for an examination at this point in time. This project will serve as your last assignment for the semester. So in light of the current COVID-19 situation, the completion of the project will be assessed in the form of credits. Moodle allows for credit grades to be recorded in the form of outstanding, satisfactory, or not satisfactory. If time commitment is evident and attention to detail present, students will be awarded the satisfactory credit for its full completion. All components of the project need to be fulfilled, including the blog entry documentation, research blog entry submission, and the final project blog entry submission. The satisfactory credit score on this project will maintain or improve a final course grade based on the current accumulated score on Moodle. An outstanding level credit score will be labeled with the exact same end score as satisfactory, but with the added emphasis of the highest possible credit grade at the time of recording. An outstanding score on this project has the potential to improve your final course grade based on the current accumulated score on Moodle. If the project is missing any criteria or is not fully submitted, a not satisfactory credit score will be recorded. Project score of not satisfactory has the potential to reduce your final course grade by a full letter based on the current accumulated score on Moodle. So no matter how you fall here in terms of credit, it's all going to be based on your existing score labeled on Moodle. So if you receive a not satisfactory score, it means that it can be reduced. If you receive a satisfactory credit score, it means that it will remain the same or increase slightly. And if it is outstanding, it means that your grade will increase based on this credit score. So this greatly simplifies the assessment in this case. And in all honesty, it's not something that I want you to focus on at all. Really, the effort here should be to generate a project with a result that could be a portfolio piece. If you're freshman graphic design majors, this could be the start of your portfolio, or for others of you, this is really just going to be a good routine in understanding the process of logo design. Okay, so there will be roughly 2 more due dates for this class. These 2 submissions here in blog entry form. Pay close attention to those, and then also what is coming up next week. So referencing back to the course Moodle page here in the rubric section, the P2 student examples file, if you open that up, you'll see a listing of folders and examples that you can browse through. And perhaps and this one will give you a good idea of what your sketches should be looking like. This is set up in roughly a 4x4 square on copier paper. And so this is a combo mark. Combo mark, this would be an icon or a symbol, and then these would be the word marks. Okay, so 2 variations for each of those categories. And then this is the final piece in brand overview form. Now, I don't feel this is the best representation of being a good example for the brand overview, but if you look at something like the Sticky Fingers Bakery, this will end up giving you a better idea of what the final digitized logo designs could look like. Okay, so this would be the word mark, this would be the icon, this would be the combo mark, and then your brand overview puts it all together in a format that looks like this. So I'll be running through the demonstration next Friday of how to construct this based on the digital file that you're constructing the digital icons and marks. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all of these. Further in your rubric itself, if I pull open the rubric, I actually attached some of these examples with additional pages. So if we were in class, you'd be getting a hard copy of this in color. But all of those are included in this folder of examples here that you can further investigate on your own. Okay, so make sure you do that. This will give you a better idea of what the expectations are going to be moving forward into the next couple of weeks here. So momentarily here, I will set up a working project document, and we'll think about how we can bring in our sketches as templates and be all set up for creating our digital work. And you would not even really need to do this until your sketches are completed. Remember that that is the focus right now. We want to be generating traditional sketches with paper and pencil. This is the fastest way to really get those ideas down, and we'll be then photographing those sketches, pulling them into the computer, and then submitting those as a blog entry post for next Wednesday. Okay, and then almost immediately from there, you should be working on the digitizing or the creation of the logo designs. And so in preparation for that, next Wednesday, I'm going to run through the process now so that you have it available. And then next Friday, I will run through the process of basically taking all of your digitized logos and creating a brand overview out of them. So I'll run through this demo next Friday and show you how to export all of these files for a more comprehensive blog entry submission at the end of the semester. So 2 weeks from today, 2 weeks from yesterday. Okay, so let's get our document set up. Okay, welcome back. So in terms of setting up a document, it's normally best to first set up a working project folder. So I'm going to do a right click on my desktop here, and hopefully you can see this. I'm just going to type in ART245P2 working, and then inside this folder what I'm going to do is make a new folder. So I pressed Shift Command N there to create the folder. I'm going to call this resources. You call it templates, but the M key is still not working on my keyboard, so I'm just going to call this resources. Every time I open this recording software, my M stops working, and I have to restart my computer in order for it to work. So I'm just going to call mine resources for now. And for the sake of speed, I'm going to copy and paste a number of these sketched resources so that I can place those in my Illustrator document. Now these have already been separated, so if you can find a way to crop your images on your cell phone before actually loading them into the computer, this might save you a little bit of time. And if you're able to increase the contrast of the sketch as well, that will also allow you to see those details a little bit better when it comes time to using them in Illustrator. So basically this is a very basic working folder here, but now I need to make my working folder. So I'm going to go to File and New. Actually, I should have said my working file. I think I said folder there. But here what I need to do is punch in a width of 11, a height of 11. My orientation really doesn't matter, but then I'm going to use 4 artboards. And just for the sake of seeing more settings, I'm going to click on More Settings here. I'm going to arrange my artboards in a horizontal row, and I'm going to increase the spacing to somewhere around 8 inches. I think that'll be a good amount of space. My size is 11 by 11 with no bleed. I'm going to go ahead and create that document. Okay, so now let's save this document by going to File and Save. And in my dialog box here, what I'm going to do is just drag this folder in. And I'm going to call this ART245_P2 working. Sorry if you hear the kids screaming upstairs, but it's about dinner time here. Okay, so this is the name of the file that I'm going to be punching in. If you have compression options here, just click OK. And so what should end up happening is my file will drop into that working course folder that I just created. And so now what I've got to do is access my resources folder here so I can use these sketches as images that I'm placing on my artboards. So I'm going to do that here first. I'm going to go to my File and Place command. I'm going to take one of those files and just drop it in. Okay, and I'm going to use my space bar here to toggle the two or the various designs. I'm going to find 2 that I kind of like. I'm going to choose this one, and this one. I'm going to click Place, and then one at a time I can use my left and right arrow keys here to cycle through these. I'm going to do the first one as the word mark, the second one as the icon, and the third one as the combo mark. I'm going to navigate and zoom into these just a little bit more so I can size them up and make them larger on screen. Okay, so I'm going to make mine roughly this size. They don't need to be huge and filling the whole frame. We want to make sure we have a little bit of white space around the logo designs. So I'm going to make mine about this size here. Increase and roughly about right there. If it needs a little bit of rotation, you can go ahead and try to rotate it. And that looks good to me. So now, what I need to do is go to my Layers panel And note that my 3 images, these are raster-based sketches, right? So these are images, photographs that we've placed in. And what I'm going to do is convert this layer to a template layer. So I'm going to double click in this open layer 1 space. I'm going to call this templates without an M. And I'm going to click on template here and dim the image down to like 28%. Hit OK. And what that will do is lock those template layers here on screen, and you won't be able to click and move those out of the way. And so you can still toggle off the visibility of those by clicking on this little icon here in your layers panel. Okay, and that will just get rid of those templates there on screen. I'm going to make a new layer by going down to the bottom right hand corner of my layers panel, clicking that icon right here, and I'm going to call layer 2. You could either call this logos and do all of your logos on the same layer, or if you want to break this up into various layers for each of your artboards, that would also be another solution. So if you typed in word mark for the first layer, word arc, I guess, is what mine's going to look like because my M's not working. Apologies for that. I'm going to type in icon for the second. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call this combo or Kobo and brand overview. Okay, so these other logo layers, I'm going to lock those up so that allows me to only manipulate or place new objects or text on the layer that I have unlocked. This is a great method of being able to stretch out graphics if you're using the shape builder technique and you have ellipses maybe expanding off of your artboard. This is a great way to lock up all of the other artboards so that you don't have those contents kind of bleeding into the others. Alternatively, you could take those 3 layers, delete those, and just recall this logos and do all of your logo creation on a single layer. That would be fine. When it comes to artboards here, I'm also going to label these artboards in the order from left to right. So I'm going to call this word mark. So once again, my M's not coming in, sorry about that. Icon, combo, and brand overview, and this will just become a little bit easier for us to export out the artboards when it comes time to do so next week. And then the last thing we have to do here is grab our artboard tool. So this is down at the bottom left hand corner of my tool panel, and then I'm going to grab my artboard number 4 and I'm going to resize this based on the size of a letter size document. Okay, so my width is going to be set up here in my control panel to 8.5, and my height is going to stay at 11. That is the standard letter size document in the United States, whereas the rest of these 3 artboards are going to remain at 11 by 11. Okay, so really now, after next Wednesday of next week, you should have a various selection of variations of logo designs that you've sketched out. You will be able to place those graphics into your artboards, lock down those templates as images, right? So you can lock them down as a template, create a new layer here, and then that is the layer that you would use to start generating these graphics, right? So you could do it all on one layer. You can make additional layers here and lock them up along the way. If you want to kind of single out a specific layer that is unlocked, that's probably the more proper way of doing this. But because we only have 3 artboards for 3 logo designs, you could probably get away with just doing it all on a single layer. And then this last artboard here, we'll be talking more about this next Friday when we get into the demonstration for the brand overview and exporting. So this should really give you everything you need up to this point to really get started with the research blog entry post, the creation of the working document and resources folders, the importing of or placing of graphics as templates, You can use those as a tracing for generating the digital graphics themselves. And then it really gets you ready to start constructing. So it's a matter of constructing your logo designs based on color choices along the way. Maybe one tip I would mention here is if you go to color.adobe.com, this is a great place for exploring color schemes, right? So if I go to explore at the top, I can go to trends at the top as well, right? So maybe I'm generating a business that that sells food, right? You have all these kind of rich, flavorful foods here, right? All these solid swatches. Or if you wanted something to be more related to the wilderness or nature, right? You could very easily use a color selection like this, and then what you would do is copy and paste these hex codes into your program. So it's a matter of clicking here for copy, going into your document, grabbing a shape. In this case, I'm going to grab just the standard ellipse, drop that into my graphic, and I'm going to reapply a swatch here by double-clicking on my fill and pasting this in to the hex value. So now it basically picked up that same green that's part of this scheme here. So good luck. Focus on your research for now, but almost immediately after that, remember that you have one additional week to get all of the digitized logos done, and then also the brand overview. More information on that will be coming next Friday. So I'll check in with you later. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks a lot.